Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we have AEW WrestleDream 2024 results and review. A very crazy ending, a lot of crazy moments in this pay-per-view, but how did you enjoy it?
Yeah, overall, I'd say it was a pretty good pay-per-view overall. Obviously, like you mentioned, just a kind of weird and I guess in a way dark kind of ending. We'll get more into that as you said, but yeah, really long card, ton of matches to get through. So let's start with the pre-show here.
Yeah, and we're going to start off the pre-show, like you said, where Brian Cage does defeat Atlantis Jr. to become Ring of Honor World TV Champion, his first champion in AEW/Ring of Honor. Then after that, we had Anna Jay beat Harley Cameron. Then the Acclaimed beat MXM, who did have Rico as their special guest enforcer, or third man. And then the last pre-show match, we had the conglomeration of the Outrunners defeat the Dark Order and the Premier Athletes. Now we're going to go on to the main card. We start off the night with Jay White taking on Hangman Adam Page, where Jay White does get the win. How'd you enjoy this match?
Yeah, I didn't necessarily expect Jay White to get the win, although I did want him to. But the match did turn out really good. Really good match. Didn't expect it to start necessarily. But yeah, it was a really good match.
Yeah, I mean, I think when everybody knew this match was happening, we were like, okay. Although the build is a bit rushed, it feels like, and we wish we got a full story between these two because they do have a rich history. It would have been nice to have a full build onto it, but when they got in the ring, we knew it was going to be really good, and they delivered on all cylinders. Like you said, Jay White gets the win with a very cool finish where Hangman with an injured knee goes for the buckshot. Jay White realizes that, he catches him, hits Switchblade, and gets the win. And a very cool finish, and was like picture perfect timing, so really good opening match.
And then after the match, he cuts a promo that they posted to the AEW Twitter, where he says that he has a second person who he will be coming after. He's not going to mention who it is because he doesn't want him to know. But yeah, so apparently there's another person on his list, as he says.
Yeah. Next up, we had the AEW Women's World Champion, where Mariah May does defeat Willow N Go in a very good match to follow up the previous match. How'd you feel about this one, though?
Yeah, this was, a really good match. Arguably the second or third best match of the night. Mariah May kind of showed out and brought out some new moves that I didn't know personally that she had, up her sleeve, I guess. Willow N Go, she's just one of the best in general, so she, always impresses in her matches. But yeah, just surprisingly good. Maybe would have liked this as the co-main event rather than what we got, which we'll talk about that later. But yeah, really good match. Happy for Mariah May to get another retain here because she does just feel like a really good champion right now, and everyone seems to love her. Felt like maybe a Toni Storm appearance was going to happen. I kind of got that feeling towards the end, but it didn't happen, and she won clean.
Yeah, this match, I really enjoyed it. Like you said, they delivered one hell of a match. Willow I feel bad. I think I predicted in our predictions that I don't think she would win, but I wanted her to win. Cause it sucks that she has to be taking the pins. I feel like she does take a lot of pins. Although she does get a lot of wins in return. But yeah, really good match. Glad Mariah May won. Interested what's next for her, and also Willow, because right now there's no really line of sight for where they're going to go next. So very interested in that. Next up, though, we had the TNT champion on the line, where Jack Perry does defeat Katsuyori Shibata. How'd you feel about this match?
Yeah, this was a pretty good match, I would say. I was maybe hyped up a little more than what it should have been, maybe. Definitely felt like a stipulation might have should have been on this one. Yeah. That's kind of going to be something I might say a little later on in this pay-per-view a few times as well. But yeah, overall it was a pretty good match. Kind of short at 9 minutes, but yeah, it was kind of whatever to me.
Yeah, this match to me wasn't all that. Just a solid Shibata and Jack Perry match, as good as I think it was going to get. Nothing too crazy happened, but the main thing I think everybody's going to take away from this is what happened after the match. Obviously, on this past week's Dynamite, I believe, we seen Daniel Garcia return, and he got in the face of Shibata, where he said, "If I win the TNT champion, you're first in line." Jack Perry's about to beat down on Shibata, and then Daniel Garcia comes out, kind of defends him off, but then MJF comes out, and then he turns on Daniel Garcia, and they fight for a little bit, and then out comes Adam Cole, who runs off MJF. So Adam Cole is back. He was running healthy, so yeah, really excited for that, because we want to see the payoff for when we been watching for so long.
Yeah, it's literally been a year since the Devil storyline, came from Adam Cole and MJF and all that. So after a year, we'll finally kind of get the big payoff, and it could still be worth it for sure. Obviously, we had to wait longer, so the Devil thing is kind of just dead at this point. You can't really bring that back. But the story's still there between the two, so you can always go back to that match.
Yeah, and it is. I do like that they turned Adam Cole face here because he kind of was the heel, and then after everything that's happened with MJF and his injury, it just makes sense for him to be the face again. And yeah, so it should be really fun with that. Next up, we had Konosuke Takeshita get the win in the 3-way for the AEW International Championship match, defeating Will Ospreay and Ricochet. How do you feel about this match?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good match, as all Will Ospreay matches. As I said, just a really good match overall. But I'll say the finish was a bit weird for me, where Don Callis kind of comes in with the screwdriver, goes to attack him. Ospreay dodges it, grabs his arm. Just a few spots happen in between or whatever. But then, little do we know, a guy in a black hoodie comes. Who could it be? He comes in, hits him with the screwdriver in the back of the head, reveals himself as Kyle Fletcher. But he doesn't go down. He falls down to his knees, kind of holding the back of his head. And I don't know, that kind of bothered me a little bit, just because you took a screwdriver to the back of the head. But, he does kind of sell it after that, and Takeshita gets the win. I wouldn't say a surprise, because I've seen a few people online were kind of predicting that Takeshita won, but it's kind of a surprise to me, considering that Will Ospreay already lost the title, won it back, and then lost it again now to Takeshita. But yeah.
Yeah, this match, I really enjoyed it. Probably one of the best triple threat matches we've seen in AEW. I'm really glad Takeshita got the win, because I think in the prediction video I did say that I think it's this time, he can really benefit from using the International Champion to really elevate him. He's a top guy, and Ospreay doesn't need the belt anymore. He's become a top 3-5 guy in the company right now, and Ricochet is a very reliable guy that they're going to keep using no matter what. So I'm just glad Takeshita gets the win, and boy, it was a really good match. Next up, we had a 2 out of 3 falls match where Hologram does get the win over Beast Mortos. How do you feel about this match?
Yeah, this one, I was kind of never really fully behind this one. Maybe it was just, this was a really long card, and I knew they had a ton more matches after this. So maybe it had just a little bit to do with that, especially being after our Ospreay match. And then I guess also we should mention they had a swerve segment in between. We'll kind of get more into that after this. But yeah, so there was kind of like a lot going on around this part of the card, so I was kind of not as much behind it. But Hologram does pick up the win over Beast Mortos. He does all his standard, his moves that you expect him to do, his poison runners and all that kind of stuff. Beast Mortos, same thing as well. They're both really good, no complaints, obviously. Just, I think, kind of a bad positioning on the card, maybe.
Yeah, like you said, this match was I think it was very solid. I just kind of wasn't too much into it, really. Just, I'm a fan of Mortos. I think he's very fun. Just like he's a big raging monster, really. But yeah, solid match. But nothing too crazy really happened from it. But now let's get on to the topic you mentioned, and this Swerve coming out, and how to kind of talk about what's next for him, and talks between MVP and Nana. We'll let you get into it a little bit, though.
Yeah, so Nana comes out, he's kind of let Swerve come out and basically let the people know about his medical condition, essentially. Swerve comes out, obviously he gets cheered a ton in his hometown, Swerve's house, and then he mentions that he's medically cleared. But before he could kind of get into what he wanted to talk about after that, you hear someone speaking on the mic. You don't see him yet, but then MVP comes out with Shelton Benjamin, I should mention. He comes to the ring, and he basically tells MVP tells Swerve that you should join us. You've been losing a lot recently with Nana. And Swerve kind of retaliates with, I have been losing a lot. And he kind of goes in Nana's face a little bit, and he kind of swears everybody. Swerving. But yeah, he kind of swears everybody a little bit, where it looks like maybe he'll join MVP side. But he does say, Nana's family, I'm not turning on them. And then Shelton gets in between and says, you don't have a choice. And before a brawl breaks out, they kind of split them all up, and MVP points to his watch and says it's a ticking time bomb. Everyone, they kind of kept the cameras on him for a really long time in this moment, so everyone was like, okay, where's Bobby? Who's going to come out here? But it was no one. So I guess we'll have to wait for that. But, really cool segment with them. Happy to see when it does happen. Obviously, got Shelton Swerve match, a Shelton Bobby match, even an MVP match. I mean, why not? So yeah, I mean, I am very excited for it, but I do feel like the Bobby spot should have been there the way it was kind of played out on camera.
Yeah, it just felt like they were going to do it just because, like you said, after they kind of got split up, there was like you said, a little bit of time between when Swerve is by himself in the ring to the time they kind of turned the cameras to start playing the vignettes for the next match. So yeah, definitely thought Bobby was coming out, but I guess we have to wait and see. Maybe comes out on this week's Dynamite, or maybe we don't see him until Full Gear. I would kind of doubt that. But yeah, should be, obviously we've been waiting for it, and it's going to be really exciting when it does happen. So, yeah. Next up, though, we had Darby Allin defeat Birdie King in a very good match. How'd you feel, though?
This match, I mean, it was very ring stare heavy, I should say. As soon as the match starts, I mean, just instantly goes to the ring steps, essentially. Brody just tossing Darby all over the place, throwing him onto the stairs, has him under the ring steps, and then he stands on it, starts stomping on it. Crowd goes wild for that. They really like that spot. And then eventually Darby basically just gets tossed around the entire match. He's getting thrown from corner to corner. He's getting splashed. He's getting the cannonball. Just literally everything you would expect. But finally he starts picking up. And he does finally do this cool spot where Brody looks like he's going to kind of power slam him onto the steps on the outside, which are laying sideways. But Darby fights him off, pushes him back, and then Brody falls on it. And then he goes for a coffin drop onto Brody, onto the steps. It looked like Brody was maybe going to move in the moment, but he doesn't, and he takes it. And essentially that's the end of the match. He comes back in, takes one more coffin drop on his back, I believe, and that's the end of the match. They shake hands after, and yeah, this Darby and Brody feud looks like it's officially over. They got the handshake at the end, and yeah.
Yeah, this match, like I said, really enjoyed it. Very just, your average Darby match where some crazy stuff's going to happen and some big type of hardfall is going to happen. And a guy like Birdie King with Darby Allin who can just toss him around and just be very dominant towards him is always going to be a great match, combination. And yeah, this was no different, just really good. I do like the way it ended with, like you said, the coffin drop on the stairs and then another coffin drop and then the shake after was really cool. Just, because they seem like guys who would probably be our friends outside of AEW or outside of the AEW cameras. So it's kind of cool that, maybe that friendship was kind of shown right there, Yeah,
I believe Darby, Brody, Punk, and Danhausen are all kind of like a little
clique.
Like a little friend group.
But yeah, that was a really good match. But next up, we had the tag team champions on the line where the Young Bucks do defeat Private Party. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I wasn't really happy for I don't want to say happy for it, but I wasn't really hyped for the match going into it. But it did end up surprising me, and it was honestly really good. I definitely kind of felt the Private Party kind of buzz going where I was like, okay, they're going to win. They don't win. The Bucks do end up picking up the win and retaining. But Private Party definitely they made me more of a fan of them tonight. I'll say it was a really good match. But yeah, the Bucks do win. A little disappointing maybe because it felt like Private Party maybe should have got this win. But it's the Bucks. I mean, who's gonna complain about the Bucks having tag titles?
Yeah, this match was definitely exceeded my expectations. I knew it was gonna be solid because all four men in that match were very talented. But sometimes things just don't click in the ring. I kind of thought we would get that. However, it was the complete opposite, and they just had a very great match. With Private Party losing, I feel like but the next team to hopefully get a title shot is the Outrunners. I think they're getting really over through Collision, Rampage, and they're making their way to Dynamites now. I think, they're just a very fun team who would be phenomenal tag team champions. I can only imagine what they would do with the belts. So yeah, hopefully they're the next targets for Young Bucks. But yeah, this is still a very solid match. And then next up in the co-main event, in 2024, the co-main event is Chris Jericho wrestling versus Mark Briscoe, where he did lose, thankfully. How'd you feel about this match?
Yeah, this is kind of what I mentioned when I said that, maybe Mariah May and Willow should have maybe took this spot, or maybe even hologram and Beast Mortos to give them a better positioning. Um, yeah, weird to have Chris Jericho. I kind of was, when I went into this, I was kind of expecting slash wanting Mark Briscoe to just kind of just beat Chris Jericho down just really bad. Obviously, the feud going into this was Chris Jericho mentioning his brother who passed away, Jay Briscoe. That's kind of made it a blood feud right at the last moment, kind of. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting, was for Mark Briscoe to just go all out and just beat the hell out of Chris Jericho. But however, this is one of those matches, once again, that maybe feels like it should have had a stipulation on it, so we could do that further. But it kind of really didn't get that. Chris Jericho did get a lot of offense in this match, more than maybe I would have liked. But yeah, there was a pretty cool spot, I guess I will mention, where Mark Briscoe kind of goes for, I believe, a diving headbutt off the top rope. Then Jericho bounces up and gives him a code breaker as he's coming down. That was really cool, I'll say. And yeah, Mark Briscoe matches are always good in general. He carries his weight and the other person's weight if needed. So it was a pretty good match, but yeah, definitely felt like another match should have been here.
Yeah, as much shit as I do talk about Chris Jericho, this match was very solid in my opinion. I think him and Mark Briscoe had a great connection here. Just smart, just playing. He's one of the most lovable baby faces right now, and yeah, he's just really fun to watch. He has such a unique moveset. He's so just, I guess, charismatic would be the word. Just with his redneck kung fu and stuff. But yeah, it was a solid match. Just like you said, I definitely would have put this at the co-main event. There's so many matches I would have put ahead of this, but it is what it is. At least it was solid. But next up in the main event, for the AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley does defeat Bryan Danielson by submission, and that is the end of Bryan Danielson's in-ring career, apparently. So Jon Moxley is the new AEW World Champion.
Yeah, so Bryan Danielson, obviously, he been mentioning that he's not gonna, maybe fully retire, but it's his full-time in-ring career. So we can still expect a couple Bryan Danielson matches. I would say at least, maybe one or two more matches at the very least. But his full-time career is over. However, it happened in a weird way, I guess. The match, overall, really good, obviously. We have Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. Starts off hot. The final countdown's kind of playing as they're just beating the hell out of each other at the start of the match, all around the ring, beating each other up the ramp, whatever. They were, fighting all over the place. The match finally picks up. Moxley is getting majority of the offense in here, obviously targeting the neck. Any chance to get a lot of pile drivers in this match. Pile driver onto the ring announcer table, which doesn't break. Pile driver on the floor without the mat being there. And then they have a moment where Bryan Danielson dives through the ropes. Moxley catches him and gives him kind of like a future shock DDT sort of onto the concrete once again. Just like I said, kind of all offense to Danielson's neck. I'll let you sort of get into what happens at the ending here, but yeah.
Yeah, so Mox hits his another paradigm shift, and he goes and gets Danielson in a sleeper hold. Danielson falls down, and Danielson basically just goes unconscious, and Mox gets the win after the match. And the one thing I really like about the way they did it and the way the crowd reacted was it was really perfect for them. As soon as Moxley wins, the entire crowd just goes silent. The music doesn't play, and even the ref is like, "Oh my god, I have to call this!" The match is over. And it was I forget what his name is, but he's the goofy ref who does a lot of the comedy matches or the weird ending matches. But he kind of was playing a role in it. And yeah, Mox gets the belt. BCC comes out. Mox gives the belt to Claudio, puts the belt inside a bag, and we don't know what he does with it. They do walk out with it after everything's done. But before that, they tie up, or they're about to start beating on Bryan Danielson. Then out comes Wheeler. He comes out to save Darby Allin, also tries to run him off. But then the little rat himself, Wheeler Yuta, turns on Bryan Danielson and attacks Darby Allin. And then they tie up Darby Allin in the corner with some duct tape. And Moxley makes Wheeler strangle, or I guess suffocate Danielson with another paper bag or a plastic bag. And for about a good few minutes, the entire roster where, you know, somebody has to run in and help them. No, they wait and they wait until finally, after like 3-4 minutes of them just abusing Danielson, they finally want to come out. And we had like Private Party come out. Adam Cole was there, Daniel Garcia, Hook, Orange Cassidy. I think Mark Briscoe was out there. And yeah, then BCC, they all run away with the bag. And yes, it was a very dramatic and kind of like a big like, whoa, this doesn't feel right, like something isn't right here. And then like a big like medical team come in and stretcher out Danielson to the back. And yeah,
the closest thing I could think of to kind of compare the moment to the moment where he gets pinned and the ref didn't get pinned, but the moment where he gets submitted and he goes limp and the ref calls it, is literally Undertaker losing the streak, where the crowd just goes silent and there's no music. The crowd was just wide-eyed and just like, because it was very abrupt. Like, I forget what it was, but Danielson does something. He reverses a move from John Moxley, and then he tells him, he says, "Don't make me do it." And then I believe he knees Moxley, and then that's whenever he puts him in the submission and finishes the match. So yeah, like I said, kind of very reminiscent of the Undertaker losing his streak, and the crowd just goes silent, and even myself just kind of speechless in a moment because it was very abrupt, and the beat down after. And there's so many questions to go into Dynamite going into this Wednesday with Moxley. Why did he do it? Why did Wheeler do it? Why did everybody take so long to come save him? What does this mean for Darby Allin? Because he had like this big stare down and got tied in the corner and everything. What is the deal with the title? Is there going to be a new title that he brings out? A custom title that he brings out? Is he just going to get rid of the title? I mean, there's so many questions after this, so I guess that is one good thing coming out of this match, that this next Dynamite should be really good.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about wrestling pay-per-views. If it's done well, you should be asking questions of like, what is next? And I think, you know, we do that a lot. But this one is like a real like head scratch. Like, what is Moxley gonna do? Like, who is he gonna face now at Full Gear? Now that he is the champion, will he even hold it till Full Gear? Because that's not for like another 6 weeks. Will it be Darby who's going after him? Will it be Adam Cole? Or, you know, there's a lot of storyline, which is good. And it feels like a full-on how they wanted to. A war is going to happen between the baby faces and then this BCC alliance that's happening. But they are kind of outnumbered right now because there's like 6 or 7, I think, baby faces who came out to save Danielson, and there's only 4 people of BCC, so that's a little bit interesting. But yeah,
it feels like this could be a really good long-term setup for a big Anarchy in the Arena match at World's End, maybe. Just, you know, big 5-on-5 or whatever number against whatever number match, Anarchy in the Arena, World's End. It feels like maybe that's the direction we're gonna go here, kind of like what WWE does with War Games and whatnot. Kind of a similar build to like that. Maybe we'll do have something similar to that, where obviously not 2 rings and 2 cages, but they'll make their own sort of War Games creative match, you know, because they've done it with the Casino Gauntlet and whatnot, so it'd be cool to see them kind of innovate some more matches. But yeah, with Bobby coming in, he's obviously a big potential for John Moxley going forward. Darby Allin is probably the number 1 person for him, or a lot of people may say Ospreay. But yeah, a lot of potential, a lot of talk going into this pay-per-view for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, excited to see what AEW has going forward.
Yeah. But yeah, that will do it for us for WrestleDream this year. Very solid pay-per-view, really enjoyed it. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to like. And besides that, we'll catch you guys in the next video.